Your PC isn't loud because you need expensive fans. It's loud because the airflow path is wrong today. Fans fight each other, hot air gets trapped, and the GPU keeps recycling warm air inside the case. Then the system ramps RPM to survive, and you hear the jet engine every time you game. This guide fixes airflow with layout and tuning, not shopping, and it works on most cases. First rule, you need a clean path from cool intake to hot exhaust with nothing blocking it. Second rule, fan direction must be correct, or every other change becomes wasted effort quickly. Look for the tiny arrows on the fan frame. One shows spin, one shows airflow direction clearly. The airflow arrow points where air exits the fan, so use it like a map always. If arrows are hidden, remember this. The side with struts is usually the exhaust side. Now the default layout that works. Front and bottom are intake, rear and top are exhaust. Front intake feeds the GPU first, which matters because the GPU is the main heater in games. Rear exhaust removes the hot air stream and prevents the case from rebreathing its own heat. Top exhaust is optional. Add it only if heat pools at the top and tongs stay high. Many people overdo top exhaust, then starve intake and pull dust through every crack. The goal is slightly positive pressure, a little more intake than exhaust for control and cleanliness. Positive pressure reduces dust and keeps airflow predictable, which often lowers noise at the same time. Start simple. 2 front intakes and 1 rear exhaust, then test before adding more fans. Next mistake. The front panel choke, where the case looks pretty but cannot breathe properly. Solid glass fronts and tiny side vents force high RPM but still deliver weak intake airflow. If your case has mesh, you already have an advantage, but filters must stay clean. A dirty filter is a blocked intake, and blocked intake means higher fan speed and louder noise. Now, cable routing matters more than people admit because cables can break the airflow stream. If the center is messy, air tumbles and becomes turbulence, which cools worse and sounds worse. Route cables behind the tray, tie them down, and keep the path to GPU and CPU open. Now check fan curves, because a bad curve makes noise even when temperatures are safe. Many default curves jump too fast, so your PC ramps hard for small temp changes. Use a smooth curve that climbs gradually, so your ears stop noticing constant RPM jumps. Keep idle speeds low and stable, because silence at idle makes the whole PC feel premium. In gaming, target a temperature range, not a fan percentage, because every case behaves differently. Now do a real test. Run your actual game for 10 minutes, not a synthetic number chase. Watch GPU temp, hotspot, CPU temp, and fan RPM because those explain noise better than FPS. Change one thing at a time, or you won't know which fix actually improved your build. First, confirm fan direction, because one backwards fan can destroy the entire airflow plan. Second, confirm intake is unobstructed, because blocked intakes turn airflow into wishful thinking. Third, confirm exhaust has space, because rear exhaust against a wall can bounce heat back. Now the GPU trick for quiet builds. Cap FPS slightly below average to reduce power spikes. Power spikes create heat spikes, and heat spikes create fan spikes, which you hear as noise. An FPS cap often improves frame time consistency too, so it feels smoother, not just quieter. Next quiet trick, undervolt your GPU slightly, because small undervolts can cut heat dramatically. Lower heat means the cooler stays in a lower RPM zone, which reduces noise the most. Now check CPU cooling basics, because an overheating CPU can ramp case fans unnecessarily. Make sure your cooler is mounted well, with good contact and reasonable thermal paste spread. Don't overpaste. Too much can insulate, and too little can leave hot spots, so be balanced. Now look at case placement. Carpet-tight corners and walls can choke intake and exhaust. Raise the case if needed and leave rear space, so hot air can exit freely. If you use bottom intake, keep the bottom filter clean because it blocks quickly with dust. Now let's address fan count. More fans can help, but only if they add useful airflow. 3 good fans in correct positions beat 6 random fans fighting each other every time. Also match fan sizes to the case. Larger fans can move air with less noise at lower RPM. Now set a goal. Comfortable tone with tolerable noise, not the coldest possible screenshot. Chasing the lowest temperature often creates unnecessary noise, and the performance gain is tiny. Instead, aim for stable tone that avoid throttling, and keep noise calm during long sessions. Here's a simple baseline most builds can use: front intake at modest RPM, rear exhaust slightly lower. Add a top rear exhaust only if GPU heat lingers, and keep it slower than intakes. Now check for recirculation. If hot air exits and gets pulled back in, tone rise fast. Recirculation happens when exhaust and intake are too close or the case is boxed in. Fix it by improving spacing, adjusting fan rolls, or removing restrictive panels when possible. Now the dust strategy. Positive pressure plus clean filters keeps performance consistent over months. Without dust control, airflow degrades, tone creep up, and the PC gets louder over time. Once you fix airflow, you can lower fan targets, and the machine will still stay stable. That's why airflow layout is a long-term upgrade that improves every future component you add. Quick recap: correct direction, clean intake, controlled exhaust, positive pressure, and smooth fan curves. Test with real gaming load. Adjust one thing at a time and stop when noise becomes acceptable. Thanks for watching. Follow and subscribe for practical PC cooling fixes that actually work every time. Also check GPU fan orientation. Some cards breathe better with a bottom intake feeding them directly. If your case supports it, a slow bottom intake can reduce GPU hotspot temperatures and lower noise. Keep front intake fans unobstructed by thick dust mats, drive cages, or decorative panels blocking airflow. If you hear rattles, tighten panels and cable ties, because vibration sounds like noise even at low RPM. Use rubber mounts if available, and avoid fans touching cables, because contact noises ruin the quiet build. For AEO setups, treat the radiator as airflow. Make sure it is not fighting the case exhaust layout. Radiator intake can lower CPU tone, but it can warn GPU intake air, so test your exact case. Radiator exhaust keeps GPU intake cooler, but CPU tone may rise, so choose based on your priority. After changes, log tone and noise over a full gaming session, because short tests can be misleading. Once stable, save your fan curves and stop tweaking, because constant tweaking becomes its own problem. If you want part 2, I'll show a quiet fan curve template for gaming, idle, and rendering loads. Follow and subscribe for practical builds, cooling fixes, and upgrade strategy that saves money and time.